Questions for Coach and Kate?
So, my questions are around, Coach, you have experience as a player and as a coach about this week that's sort of in between. You finish up your tournament and then you wait and see.
Wait for a week, just like.
Yeah. What do you do and how do you stay sort of focused, knowing that it's a long time and then it's like you have no idea who you're
Yeah,
playing?
you don't know what the next step is. I think it's just different. But the positives are, when when you're not in that situation, your season's over. So the positive thing is to wait for a week. But from a player's perspective, they had Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. So just to kind of get like a mental break. A lot of the players stayed in Vegas with their families, and then just came back. So today will be our first practice back, and we'll practice this week and just kind of get better. So now is the week to work on us after a little break. So I think that's a long overdue break. It's like 2.5 days because we traveled. But and then you just have to work on things that we need to do to get better. And I think we are getting better, but this is a week to get better. So not necessarily focusing on your opponent because you have no idea. We have scenarios of 2 different situations. If we're in the NCAA tournament, it's one thing. If we're in the NIT, these are possibilities of who we can play. So now the list is kind of long, but it's narrowing as tournaments have finished.
And how does it help you that you have a few players who've been there before, Ari and I know TT has played in the NCAA, they both have played in NCAAs. How does that experience help the newbies?
I think it helps just because they've experienced it and it's different. It's one and done. And Kate, Samaje, Bryce have never experienced it. So I think just that experience helps, regardless of what postseason play. But Kate's she's played in a lot of big games. So in that sense, she'll know. But the tournament's just a different beast. And I think even probably if you ask Kate, the Pac-12 tournament was different. It feels different. It feels a little more important. It doesn't feel like a normal Pac-12 game. So I think having that under her belt, it already gave some experience because if you win, you advance, kind of the same situation. So I think it's just unique. You have no idea who you're going to play. We have no idea if we'd be home or go across the country. So that's kind of it's just a different feeling.
And last week, you guys were able to push the hype away because Pac-12 tournament is huge. I mean, you walked in and you saw Sam's face up in the poster and everything. I mean, that's like all this kind of hype. So you've got that under your belt. So whichever tournament you go to and whatever happens, either you're here or you go away, it's sort of like you've been there and you've done that. Do you feel that way?
I mean, I think that it's like they're similar, but at the same time, like, I think that coming into like whatever NCAA, NIT, whatever we go to, like, it's important too because we haven't seen any of the teams probably that we're going to be playing, and so like we have to practice their stuff. And I think that like it would have helped to like finish better in the Pac-12 tournament, but we still have a chance to go through, and like that is more important to me. I think that so we have to make our mark, I guess.
And how excited are you about this opportunity to go to postseason?
I think it's really exciting. I think just the transition from, non-conference where, like, we were still kind of trying to fill each other out, and then, like, jumping into Pac-12 was, like, a huge jump for me. And I think that, like Coach Adia has been saying, we're peaking at the right time. And so coming into, like I said, whatever tournament we go into, like, we've been playing really well together. So it's looking good for us.
And we're getting better and better. So I think that's a good thing. And I think that despite losing against Oregon, I think we're still in a really good place. I think we know that we can play better. We know we haven't played our best basketball, and I think we're just excited for what the future holds. There is no pressure. There is no anything. We want to go to the tournament. We think we have some big wins. We know that we're the toughest conference in the country, and every win was so tough to get. And I mean, to have 7, then I think we had a solid win in the Pac-12. We solidified a really big win against a good team that was chosen to finish higher than us. So I think that said a lot. That was a statement win. And now I think, we're going to be on the bubble. And we know that. But I know our conference deserves to get a lot of teams in, and we've proven that we're an elite conference. that can compete with anybody around the country, because our conference, we've gotten good wins, the top teams, so.
What do you think the biggest positives coming away from Las Vegas is for a player like you and for a coach?
I mean, like Coach Adia has said a bunch, like, we haven't played a full game of 40 minutes where we've played great every single second, and like once we put that all together, like, we'll be a really amazing team. And I think we're a great team right now, but we just haven't reached our full potential yet. And so having like this week and then like a couple days before we decide, you know, like where we're going to be at, to just like she said, work on ourselves is good for us. And so I just think that we need to focus on us and get better.
As far as deciding, you know, once you find out what tournament, if you're in the NIT, that's a bid process for home, right? How does that work, and do you know the university is going to do that? I mean,
Yeah, I knew that the university was, because it's a big investment for a university to do it. So I do know that we are trying to host. I don't know like the exacts about it or how that works exactly, but I think we have a really good chance if we go to the NIT to host a large chunk of games in the beginning at home, which is really beneficial. And then from my understanding, after that, it goes off of attendance and like what your revenue is. So I think then we would really have a push to get everybody out in Tucson to our games, because we'd want to try to stay home as long as we could. So that's a great opportunity. And looking across the country at some of the teams that could be possible prospects in the NIT, there's some really good teams that are in similar situations and good conferences. So I think it's all exciting. I think regardless of what it is, if it's the NCAA tournament or the NIT, I think it's a really good step for this program, and it's really good for the young players to get experience. Because once you get that experience, then you're hungry for more, and then the bar is raised for next year. It's a much different feeling. Then you don't go into seasons planning to have a free spring break. You know spring break's out the door, so you're just like planning to play. And it really changes the mentality, because when you have a taste of some success, you want more. And I think the Pac-12 tournament gave that to us. It brought some of that hunger to us, because we came in and we solidified a really big win against a good team first. Yes, we lost. We were in the wrong bracket. So I don't know, at that situation, it may have been better to lose a couple more games to be in a different position, but we don't think that way. So we were just going to give it our best shot. But I think we're still playing good. We know that they're a little bit more complete, a little deeper right now. They're a little better than we are right now. We were going to give our best shot, and we didn't win, but I don't think we played bad. They just made us pay for little mistakes, and they're a better team right now. So for us, that's also a confidence builder, because they were pretty much a number 1 seed that might be a number 2 seed. So we're talking about a number 2 seed in the country that we competed with, and so that tells us we can compete with conference teams and we can make some noise. And I don't think anybody would want to play us in the tournament right away. So I think we're in a good place.
I know reaching your peak or kind of getting on a roll kind of towards the end of the season and not getting the results you want can be frustrating, but on the flip side of that, do you look at this kind of growth that your team has had as like a positive even without the results?
I do, and I think what showed me that was, okay, we lost 4 games in a row, so most teams would have been, really in the valley, right? But we then went out and responded against a team that, if you look on paper, is probably a little better than us, or if not, similar and very similar styles, and we just had a really convincing win. So I think that's a confidence thing, because I don't even think we played perfect. We played good. But to have that, so those 4 games that we played against and competed, I think got us to that level, even though they were losses. I don't know if that makes sense. And so now we're in a good place. Now we work on us and get better. But we've already played some really good teams. So I think when you play a team that isn't as good, I think you're competing. And I think the Pac-12 has given us that, because we've had to really grind it out, and we've had some tough wins, we've had some tough losses, and I think we've only lost 1 game that we really should have won. I think we've also stolen a couple games, and we've been in a lot of other games that we had no business being in. And so I think if I look back, the only loss that probably on paper we shouldn't have had was the Washington State. And then in preseason, in non-conference, it was LMU. But I think besides that, we beat everybody we should, and we stole some wins, and that's what you try to do. I think we probably needed 1 more. But I think that we gave ourselves a chance, and I think that what people are going to look at and what's going to be on the board is that we peaked late. So they look at how you finished, and we finished really well and competitive against the best teams in the country. We're talking number 1, number 2 seeds in the country. So I think that that gives us a chance to even be in the conversation. And, you know, but we probably needed another win or two to solidify that.
And despite that loss to Oregon, you know, you played them just a week before, and you lost by like 33 points.
Mhm.
And then you come into this game after playing the day before, which is tough to play day to day to day
Yeah.
like that, and you only lost by 13 points. They have to be looking at, in less than a week's time, how you were able to put that together. And how were you able to put that
Well, I
together?
think we just went out. I think we were feeling good from the USC game, and I think that we felt like we can play with anybody. We had nothing to lose. And I think we also we competed against Oregon State. So that was the week before, and we I think it just showed our character. So that's why I know that was a team that was trying to get in position to be a number 1 seed, that was favored to win the Pac-12 tournament, got upset by Stanford, but it showed us that if we're competing and giving ourselves a chance to be in games with number 1 seed, we're doing pretty good and we're doing something right. So I think that's just a confidence thing. And I don't think the players really think a lot about that whole big scenario. I think they just go out and play.
Okay, you're a elite recruit coming out of high school, didn't lose too many games in high school. How's that adjustment been with having to learn from those losses and those tough losses and kind of moving forward as a freshman?
I mean, I think it's hard, especially for like returners that come back and like you haven't had success in the seasons that you've been here, and it's like you have to come in and like you can't be down on yourself, and it's like sometimes, you know, there are teams that like keep losing, and then it's like they bring that to the newcomers that come on the team, and then like everyone doesn't have confidence for the games. But I feel like I came in here like and everyone was like excited for the season, you know, and it was pretty hyped up season, and we all came in pretty confident. I mean, we did have some losses that we shouldn't have, but you looked at some of the other teams, they started off really strong and ended not as well. But then we started off kind of like, you know, we started off decently strong, and then we had a rough patch in the middle, but I think overall we ended pretty strong, and we just have to keep the confidence for the NIT or NCAA tournament and then to next season.
Okay, what do you think that you and the team have to work on in these next few days to get prepared for the tournament?
I think that, you know, Aerie is a great scorer, but we have to all add to the win. I think USC is a good example of that. When we all add to it, it's like it really helps out Aerie, and like she doesn't have to feel like she needs to do everything. And so us stepping up and being able to help her out, I think is important for us to get some wins coming into the tournament. So, I mean, I'm just excited for that, and, you know, hoping that we all can help and add to the win.
Coach, when I was in the media room in Las Vegas, there was a lot of positive remarks from national media people and Pac-12 people that were in there about that win against USC. And a couple of them made the same comment, as that you don't want to face this Wildcat team in the first round. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Well, I just think that we're playing better basketball, and I think we're competing, and we have some really good players. We have a really good young player in Cade, Samaje, Bryce. We have some really good pieces, and I think that with a dynamic guard like Aerie, she's really hard to match up with. And like Kate said, we're playing our best basketball when we do have 4 people in double digits. That's just the way you can play, because you're harder to stop when you have so many people to stop. That's one of the reasons why Oregon's so good. Stanford, you don't stop one player, you have to stop like 4 or 5. So that makes you, you know, a dominant team. So we're playing our best basketball when we're doing that. We did that against SC, and we're capable of doing that. So I think that that win just showed the level that we're able to play when we jump on a team early and we just play our game. And I don't think that was 40 minutes of our best basketball. I don't think you've seen our best basketball yet. And I think you'll see in the postseason. I think I'm just waiting because we're getting closer, but it's just not. And I think playing against great teams like Oregon, you have those 3-minute lapses, or you miss a layup, then they score a 3. You miss 2, then you have a turnover, miss layup, then it's a 5-point swing. So we're learning from those things, and I think that the losses earlier will pay off in the end. And just like all the boxing out drills we did a month ago, I said, oh, they're not going to pay off now, but they'll pay off in the end. And they have paid off. So we're just going to continue to work on us people we play, and they're not going to want to play us. And I think that's exciting. And we don't care for the underdogs. We were the underdogs coming into this Pac-12 season, and we beat teams that no one thought we could beat. We finished higher. To finish in our league 2 or 3 spots higher, it says a lot. I mean, moving up 1 spot in our conference is very difficult. And we look at our situation, and if you look back, 2 of those overtime wins were a couple spots higher. So it's just there's a small margin of error, and I think we're in a good place. And we're peaking at the right time. We're a great cohesive group. So for us, we're just excited about next week. We're not nervous. We're not devastated either way it goes. We just want to play. We want to make some noise. And if it's to go to the NIT, our goal is going to be to win the NIT. If it's to go to the tournament, we're going to try to win some games. So I don't think there's any pressure. There's nothing, because if you look at the beginning of the season, no one would think we would be in this situation except for us. So the people and maybe probably some of you guys. But I think no one ever thought that we'd be in that conversation on the board talking about the tournament. I don't think so. So I think it's a good problem to have.
Do you guys feel like you're carrying a little chip on your shoulder going into next week?
Yeah, I think we always do. I think we also carry the chip because we know that we gave away some games this year, and those teams took it from us. But I think we feel like, dang, if we would have done a couple things better. So I think we've learned from that, and I think that's what made us so hungry at the beginning of the Pac-12 tournament. It was like, okay, we're going to show everybody we can play. And so I think it's that excitement, it's that chip, and it's also the youth of not really understanding the whole big picture and just going out and playing. So I think sometimes that's a positive thing too. And so I think a combination of all that, and just they're in a good place. The 4 losses in a row at the end didn't hurt us. And I think it would have hurt some teams, but it shows the character and the mentality of this team. So
Even
I'm
with
happy with
the
that.
short bench, when you had foul trouble on Kate and
That hurt us in the
Dominic.
Oregon game.
Yeah. But you still were able to keep it
Yeah.
relatively close. I mean, how do you weather that?
Well, I think it's just learning. Kate's a freshman, and Dominique's different style, different league. Learning that because we need them in the game, and I think that was the pivotal point in the game. And we had to make some subs, and Kate had to play less minutes, and Dominique, it really hurt us because it hurt us for stretches, and then it hurt us. Then on top of that, Destiny was hurt, and I tried to put her back in the first half. She couldn't go. So that was a huge swing that gave them momentum going into halftime. And so I look at if we would have not had those situations, we could have been more competitive even. And I don't say that because that's an excuse. They could say, oh, if we, every team could say that with their situations, but I know that, and I'm watching film, I understood that because the swings happen fast. But I think for me, looking at the big picture and looking at this program overall and looking at our talented freshmen and just the future and the pieces we're adding, it's things like that are going to happen. So we give players experience, and big picture, it'll help. Kate learning how that game's called, learning that she needs to be in the game. Dominique learning, Samaje getting those minutes, and she didn't perform like she wanted to. But those are experience minutes that she now knows what that feels like. So it's going to help her in the tournament, whatever tournament it is. She knows that feeling. It's nerve-wracking. It's hard. It's more pressure. It's against good teams. So those minutes are valuable. And so I don't. Everything happens for a reason, and I don't look back because you can look back at all these scenarios. I can look back at stuff I could do, just all those things. So we just move on and find ways to get better. So my job is to improve us this week so we're just more competitive and ready next week, and we're rested and we're mentally there. So.
Just a side question. Do you have any fashion kind of inspiration for your sideline gear? Do you have someone that you look to that you're like, that's...
No, usually it's a disaster. It's really, so I do have a friend that, not for last game, because sometimes it's rushed. I have a friend that is a former WNBA player that she helps me out. Her name's Shira Eli, and she's does a lot of NBA. She's a stylist. And so she helps a lot of former WNBA players. So when I need some help or a big game, I'm like, Shira, I need some help. So she'll ship me stuff, and it always works out. So when you see a better outfit, it's probably done by Shira. Yeah, she helps Nikki Caldwell from USC, a lot of coaches around the league, and in the WNBA. So it's just good to have someone who has better taste than me help me out. So.
Coach, were you surprised that Stanford beat Oregon in the championship game?
No, I'm not surprised. I did think early on Oregon would just dominate, but I thought they were a little worn down. I thought our game took some gas out of them. I thought they're just really short bench and it's hard. And I think Stanford, it doesn't surprise me whatever Stanford does. I think Tara always finds a way to strategically put together a plan, and I think it was just a good game plan. And I do think Oregon was a little bit tired. But remember, I always say that at the beginning of the season, Tara, it doesn't matter who's on the team. She lost 2 starters, and she still always finds a way to be at the top. And I think that's just a tribute to what a tremendous coach she is. Because she does it every year. She can have, like, the worst team in the Pac-12. She'll still find a way to be in the middle somehow or be on top. So she, I mean, because if you look, she has a couple stars, but she lost 2 really good post players for most of the year. And then lost her starting point guard from last year. So still found a way, but she still has really good players, most All-Americans. Dejanay Carrington is very good. Alana Smith is one of the best post players in the country. And then but she really does a good job of the Hulls are really good freshmen, of making those other pieces kind of work, you know. And I think she's just always done a good job of that. Ever since I played, she's been that elite. That's why she's a Hall of Fame coach with over 1,000 wins. So.
Coach, if you were in the room with the NCAA committee, what would you tell them why we should be in the tournament?
And I think we have, despite the RPI being a little bit lower, we've peaked late in the season, and we're playing some good basketball. And I think that we've had some key wins against some really good opponents that will do well in the tournament. And we have 7 wins in the best conference in the country. And we've really, if you look at the top 10 teams in the country, we've played 2 or 3 of them very competitively, more than once. So I think that we can definitely get some wins in the tournament. And I don't think anybody in the tournament would want to play us in the first or second round.
Anything else? All right, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.